The words of failed people. Part 4. The fall before the rise. For nearly a year, Daniel had worked harder than ever before. His business was growing, not rapidly, not dramatically, but steadily. Each month brought new customers. Each month brought new opportunities. For the first time in his life, Daniel felt as though he was moving towards something meaningful. He was no longer just dreaming. He was building, and that made all the difference. One morning Daniel woke up to several urgent emails. At first, he thought it was good news. It wasn't. A major client had cancelled their contract. Another customer requested a refund. A technical problem had affected part of his service. Within hours, months of progress seemed to be collapsing. Daniel sat frozen in front of his computer. His stomach tightened. His hands trembled. The fear was immediate. The same fear he had battled for years. The same fear that had destroyed so many dreams before they ever had a chance. By evening the situation became worse. The financial loss was significant. Daniel calculated the numbers repeatedly. No matter how he looked at them, the result remained the same. He was in trouble, serious trouble. For the first time since launching his business, quitting seemed reasonable. Maybe even logical. The voices returned, louder than ever. See, it was never going to work. We told you this would happen. You should have stayed safe. Now look at the mess. The words echoed inside his mind. That night Daniel barely slept. He stared at the ceiling for hours. Questions raced through his head. What if they were right? What if this failure proved everything? What if he had wasted an entire year? What if he wasn't capable after all? By sunrise he felt exhausted. Mentally, emotionally, physically. Without thinking, Daniel grabbed his jacket and walked to the bookstore. The streets were quiet. The city had not fully awakened. When he arrived, Mr. Harrison was opening the front door. One look at Daniel's face told him everything. You've been hit. Daniel nodded. Hard. They sat in silence for several minutes. Finally Daniel spoke. I think I'm failing. Mr. Harrison looked at him carefully. No. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? The old man smiled gently. Failing and being challenged are not the same thing. Daniel explained everything. The lost customers. The financial problems. The technical issues. The uncertainty. When he finished, he expected sympathy. Instead, Mr. Harrison laughed. Not mockingly, but knowingly. Why are you laughing? Daniel asked. The old man leaned back. Because you remind me of every successful person I've ever met. Daniel stared at him. What? They all thought the first major obstacle meant the end. Mr. Harrison walked toward a shelf and removed another old notebook. This one looked older than all the others. Its pages were yellow with age. He opened it carefully and pointed to a handwritten sentence. The road to success is built from problems that were solved, not problems that were avoided. Daniel read the words several times. Slowly, thoughtfully, the old man continued. Most people think successful people face fewer problems. Daniel nodded. I used to think that too. Mr. Harrison smiled. The opposite is true. What do you mean? Successful people simply become better at solving problems. The statement struck Daniel deeply. For years he had viewed problems as warning signs. Proof that something was wrong. Proof that he should stop. But maybe problems weren't proof of failure. Maybe they were proof of progress. After all, people who never try anything rarely encounter meaningful challenges. That afternoon Daniel returned home. Instead of focusing on everything that was going wrong, he made a list. One column contained problems. The second column contained possible solutions. At first the list seemed impossible. But slowly ideas began appearing. Then more ideas. Then even more. For the first time in days, he felt a sense of control. Over the next several weeks Daniel worked relentlessly. He fixed technical issues, improved customer service, adjusted his business strategy, reduced unnecessary expenses, contacted former clients, asked for feedback, made improvements. The process was difficult, painfully difficult, but little by little the situation improved. Then something unexpected happened. One of the customers who had previously left returned. A few weeks later another returned. Then new customers arrived. The growth wasn't explosive, but it was real, and this time it felt different. Stronger, more stable, more resilient, because it had survived a storm. One evening Daniel met Mark again. His old friend listened as Daniel described the recovery. Mark shrugged. You're lucky. Daniel smiled. A year ago those words would have frustrated him. Now they didn't. Because he finally understood something. People often call discipline luck. People often call persistence luck. People often call resilience luck. It's easier than admitting the truth. The truth was simple. Daniel had not been lucky. He had been tested, and instead of quitting, he had continued. That was the difference. Several days later Daniel discovered another quote in the notebook. The greatest victory is not succeeding. It is refusing to quit when failure seems certain. He sat quietly for a long time. Thinking, reflecting, remembering. He remembered every rejection email, every negative comment, every warning, every criticism, every setback, every mistake. And suddenly he realized something incredible. None of those things had defeated him. Not one. The only thing capable of defeating him had always been himself. If he quit, the dream would die. If he continued, the possibility remained alive. That realization changed everything. Because possibilities are powerful. As long as you continue moving forward, the story remains unfinished. The outcome remains unknown. The future remains unwritten. Weeks later Daniel visited the bookstore once more. The evening sun shone through the windows. Customers browsed quietly. Mr. Harrison stood behind the counter. Daniel smiled. You were right. The old man laughed. About which thing? You've said thousands of things. Both men laughed. Then Daniel became serious. I thought obstacles meant I was losing. Mr. Harrison nodded. And now? Daniel smiled. Now I know obstacles mean I'm playing the game. The old man looked pleased. Exactly. Before leaving, Daniel opened the notebook one last time. Near the end of a page he found another sentence. A sentence that felt more powerful than any he had read before. Failed people see obstacles and stop. Successful people see obstacles and learn. Daniel closed the notebook. Outside, the city lights were beginning to appear. The world looked the same. Yet he felt completely different. Stronger, wiser, more determined. The journey was nearing its final chapter. Soon Daniel would discover the ultimate truth about success, failure, and the words of people who had surrendered their dreams. And that truth would change his life forever. To be continued in Part 5.